Sometimes you gotta wonder as you look around this world, what would things be like now if Mary had a girl? Don't you ever wonder, would we have a different world if on that Christmas morning Mary had a girl? Beneath the star of Bethlehem was Christmas, AD 0. Mary and Joseph had a baby who'd go on to be a hero. Well, it wasn't really Joseph's kid. That's a complicated story. But the concept was immaculate, and the child was bound for glory. But Joe got to lead the donkey and find his wife a comfy stable. He was a carpenter, not a midwife, but he did the best that he was able. He held her hand, he mopped her brow. No way was he a failure. Next thing, a child of God was born. It had male genitalia. Well, they called the baby Jesus, and he grew into a man. He started out in carpentry, then he got another plan. He went up preaching and doing miracles after God gave him a sign. Raised some fellas from the dead, turned some water into wine. Soon he started pulling decent crowds. His sermons were a hit. But if the Son of God sticks his head too high, well, he's going to get it hit. The Romans, they decided it was time to show him who was boss. I won't go into all the details, but he ends up on a cross. Sometimes you gotta wonder as you look around this world, what would things be like now if Mary had a girl? Don't you ever wonder, would we have a different world if on that Christmas morning Mary had a girl? When the crucifying was over and Jesus got to heaven, the disciples called a meeting. Now they numbered just 11. St. Peter, he got the boss's job, but Judas, he got the arse. With Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, it was a boys' show from the start. They started their new religion. They hung crosses round their necks. The priests would all wear black dresses and pretend to not have sex. 'Cause consecrating bread and wine, that was clearly work for blokes. So was handing out communion and wafting incense smoke. But the ladies, they had a part to play. They could use their feminine powers. They could polish all the candlesticks and organise the flowers. As long as they did what they were told, they'd get a good reception. Just cover up your head in church and don't use contraception. 'Cause a girl could never be a priest. you'd only be a nun. All those vespers and novenas, no end all of fun. And cover up all that skin, of course, except for just your face. You want to be a bride of Christ, then you've got to know your place. Sometimes you gotta wonder, as you look around this world, what would things be like now if Mary had a girl? Don't you ever wonder, would we have a different world if on that Christmas morning Mary had a girl? Now the church is in the bad books. It's a sorry circumstance. Seems some of the bishops, the priests and the brothers, they couldn't keep it in their pants. And when it all came out, they found themselves in an unfavourable position, dragged a kicking and a screaming before the Royal Commission. And it wasn't just the Catholics, but they were clearly number one. Seems that men of all persuasions use God's cover for their fun. Now the church has had its leaders, like St. Paul and Tom Aquinas. One thing they all had in common, none of them had vaginas. So if the fallen Church of Rome ever wants to be forgiven, could start by doing something about the way it thinks of women. But it's hard to hold out too much hope that this will be their hour. Nothing holds on quite as tight as a church holds on to power. But what if right there at the start things hadn't been the same? What if baby Jesus been called baby Jane? And if the Gospels were according to Lucy, Claire and Rose, and the church was run by mothers, it'd be different, I suppose. Sometimes you gotta wonder, as you look around this world, what would things be like now if Mary had a girl? Don't you ever wonder, would we have a different world if on that Christmas morning Mary had a girl? Bless me, Father, I have sinned.